We did have the what are we talk. I said, I'm like, we almost got engaged, so what are we now? Are we dating?
I think I asked you to be my boyfriend. I'm pretty sure.
I wanted a
I'm
title.
pretty sure I asked you.
We were just talking at first, and she was kind of just going with the flow. I'm like, no, I want a title. Title this right now.
No, you didn't.
I was,
You did
I thought I was a
not.
little
You were you're a little needy.
I was a little needy.
No,
It's just you and me here because, like, I don't want anything else. And I want you to know that I'm so fully committed into, like, showing you how much I love you and how, like, I will never stop fighting for you.
It's official, season 26 of The Bachelor is in the books, and 28-year-old Clayton Echard has found love with Susie Evans, a 28-year-old wedding videographer from Virginia Beach. Although you could say the finale didn't exactly go down as planned.
Like, to me, like, it's not over until you tell me it's over.
I feel like it's over.
I felt horrible doing it. And yeah, it felt like I was scared and I was nervous and I felt like I was ruining the show. I felt like I was ruining Clayton's experience. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to turn down the final rose. Like this is absolutely just crazy to me. But I knew it was the right thing for me in that moment. And I think that's why we can be here today and be so strong, because we decided to do this on our own. This was not because I accepted the rose and I felt any pressure to be here. And I think that's the beauty in all of this, is that I did what was right for me. And because of that, we found our way back to each other.
Yeah, there is no manual for how to be the perfect bachelor. I think it's impossible. And yes, like there are individual circumstances that I now look back at and think, man, why couldn't you have done that differently? But I have to give myself a little bit of grace because we're here. So if we're here and we're together, then it worked out.
My name is Susie.
What is that?
Did you feel the electricity between us?
Oh my gosh, okay. Yes, I love it.
I mean, I was really skeptical, I think, going into the experience. And even after night one, I was just so nervous. And then when my name got called on the first one-on-one, I was like uncontrollably shaking. When I was sitting there, I was so nervous. I was like, why did I have to go first?
Is this crazy? I mean, how are you feeling?
Yeah, this is actually crazy. Like, I don't even have a group date to like warm myself up to this experience. I got to jump right in, and I was terrified.
I felt like we had a connection right out the limo, and I just think like we're gonna have a great time.
For me, the first one-on-one date with us was probably 15 minutes into the car ride, and I felt this like relief, and I was just like, okay, he's a normal person, I'm a normal person, we're just having fun. Like, is this gonna scare you today, whatever we're doing?
Never done before, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna react.
Oh my gosh, okay. And I felt like from that point on, I was like, okay, I feel comfortable being myself and just like having fun. We pretty much didn't stop laughing the whole day. So for me, I left that one-on-one date and I was like, I'm gonna be there at the end if it's up to me. Obviously, he has to like get there as well, but I felt pretty just confident in what we had pretty early on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think the moment for it flipped for me was the top of the clock tower in Croatia. I remember I kept thinking in my head, like, I want this woman to like me so badly. And I think early on I was so nervous, and every interaction we had, I'd find myself walking away being like, I just feel like I could have been better. I think I could have said something more, could have been smoother. You know, I would be like a nervous wreck at points when I was sitting like talking to her. And thankfully at the clock tower, she finally like told me where she was at.
I do feel as though I'm falling in love with you.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you just said that.
And it was validating, because in that moment I realized, okay, she's actually kind of giddy about me as well. And yeah, from that point forward, I felt really good.
Since that point, like, it's no longer about me falling in love with you. Like, I am in love with you.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was gonna go one of two ways, and it didn't go either direction that night. Like, I thought I was gonna go in there and we were gonna have this conversation, and it was like, no, like it's you, or maybe not it's you, but no, I feel the same way that you do, and I love you, or I'm falling in love with you. I thought we were gonna take that next step in our relationship, or I thought potentially it could be the end of our relationship. And I would be supportive if it were somebody else, because I mean, I understood that that was a possibility going into this. So I thought it was going to go one of those two ways. I never could have imagined, the conversation that we had. I didn't anticipate that happening.
I've somehow fallen in love with 3 women, and it makes 0 sense to me.
It was a shock for me to fall in love with multiple women, but I think again, it's like I want to also like give credit where credit's due. People say, how can you do that? And I'm like, look at these women. To me, it's not a shock. It's like, what do you mean? How did I fall in love with them? It's like, how could I have not? They're all incredible. But you start to fall in love for different things. And I think at the end of it all, I realized, as weird as it was, I said, well, who do I think about first thing when I wake up in the morning and I can't get my mind off of? And it was, it came down to being Susie.
Have you, like, slept with another woman? Like, those are things that, like, I think would be, like, impossible to move forward towards an engagement.
Yeah, I mean, I look back at it now and I'm like, I would have saved a lot of pain for everybody had I just like thought that through better and made that clear, or even just like knew my expectations and stated them at some point prior to my date.
After all the feelings, the experiences that we've had, how can you just straight up say, I can't move forward after all this? Like,
I don't know, like, I'm very confused right now and I don't know what to think.
But in that moment, I thought, well, I don't want to disrupt the process. He has these relationships with these women, and he totally should explore these relationships in the way that he feels he needs to explore them in order to figure out who it is at the end. But I just also knew for myself, I was like, I'm not gonna be okay if that's the scenario that I have to like accept an engagement under. I couldn't wrap my head around that concept.
this is exactly what I was afraid of. I don't believe in anything anymore. Everything is literally validated.
As I look back at it now, I realized that, again, one of the life lessons I learned was making assumptions. And I made a major mistake of assuming that all of the women that were left understood what kind of happened in fantasy suites and how, again, I thought it was an integral part of a relationship was to explore that relationship further off camera, and not just from a physical standpoint, but talking about deal breakers, whether that's political, religious, things that you don't want to talk about on camera. So I knew that any conversation could change it. And I look back at it now and I see 1,000% where she's coming from. Like, yeah, how can you expect to get engaged to somebody that was just intimate with 2 other women days before? It makes 0 sense to me at this point. And so, but in that moment, I was just taken aback. And so I got into a dark headspace and started questioning, why do I feel like she's not trying right now? And that's when you saw the tone shift from the time I went outside and I started having these thoughts like, oh, maybe she's trying to be the next Bachelorette. And I got into a really, really bad headspace. And so when I walked back inside, I was closed off.
The fact of the matter is like, I don't even know who I'm looking at anymore. Like, I don't.
Dude, like, please don't say that. Like, that's like the worst part in all of this.
And then that's when you saw this really immature eruption of emotion that I completely regret. And it was out of character, it was embarrassing. I look back at it and I just think like, why did you react that way?
I don't agree with it at all, how you went about this. I think it's BS, and like just, we're done. And I'm done. There's nothing, we're not getting anything else out of what we're saying anymore.
At that point, the way everything happened, I just thought we were not compatible. And I just felt like, even though I loved him, and I knew I loved him, and I knew he loved me, I thought it was just my sign of like, this is not meant to be. It's not working out. We're not communicating effectively. We're no longer making progress.
It's because I cared so much and I really did love you. And to have this ripped from me is why you're seeing what you're seeing right now.
And I was just emotional because I saw a future, and I really thought, again, like we had the strongest connection. So I saw her being the one at the end of it all. And then to realize it's like, this is over and there's nothing more we can do. It was a flood of emotion that I wasn't really ready to handle.
Obviously a lot has changed since then. Hours upon hours of conversations that I think like I've said, we both really do understand each other now. And I think we are totally compatible in more ways than we knew when we were on the show, actually.
This is the last thing I'll say. Because of my faith, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I'm just gonna take that and move forward in my life.
As I said to Susie when she walked out, I said, everything happens for a reason, and I believe I'm supposed to go through this. And I tried with everything in my heart to move forward with the other 2 women and have them meet my family. And I thought, okay, they'll meet my family and maybe I will be able to move on from Susie. But when I was with them and my family, it felt right. And the second that they left, And I was there back in my thoughts. My mind raced right back to Susie, and I realized at that point that I can't stop thinking about her, and my heart's not with these other women anymore. It's only with her.
Hi,
Hey.
how's it going?
How are you?
I mean, to be honest, I was kind of shocked that Clayton didn't come by the next day to end on a better note. That was my thought. I was like awaiting the knock on the door, and it never came. Well, it did come, but it was not the knock that I expected.
If you're up for it, Susie, I really think you should go and see Clayton today.
So I was open to seeing Clayton again because I felt like we didn't have closure when I last saw him. I was just super confused. I wasn't really open to jumping back into a relationship with Clayton at that time. And I was open to hearing him out, and I was certainly open to either having closure on a better note or just having one more conversation. But I wasn't anticipating like coming back into the process at that point.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you okay?
Oh my gosh. Oh. It sounds maybe naive, but I had no idea what I was walking into. I was in this beautiful gown, and I was asked, you need to get dressed and get ready to go. But I didn't know that there was even going to be a rose there until I saw the rose, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what have I just walked into?
I'm nervous.
Yeah,
Very
me too.
nervous.
Obviously, I wanted Clayton to be able to say everything he needed to say and express himself, and I wanted to hear him out, but I knew what was best for me in that moment was to take a step back. And Clayton had mentioned, I'm gonna, keep fighting for you, and I'm still gonna be here until you tell me that it's not gonna happen. And so for me, I was like, I have to break this.
I feel like it's over.
Okay.
Which felt horrible. I felt horrible doing it.
I was just in shock at it all. I mean, I was really thankful that her and I could leave on terms where we were both amicable towards each other. I think we just realized that, hey, there was love here, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. And but we left it a lot better than what we had prior. And for me, it was closure.
Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
In that moment, for her to make that decision and say, I can't leave here with you, it was what I needed. In that moment, I just needed to realize, okay, like it's over, and your actions led you to this point. And so at the end of the day, you can't blame anybody other than yourself. And hopefully you will sit here and reflect back now that it's all over, and you'll learn from every last experience, and you'll be a better man than you were when you came in. I wish nothing but the best for you.
I think I needed to take a step back, and I think when we restarted our relationship, or continued it, however you want to look at it, we set down a new foundation. I think that's the best way to describe the way we went about things. I reached out to Clayton pretty immediately, and I felt like even though we had closure, we had those final moments together that we had before we said goodbye in Iceland, the overwhelming feeling of respect and love for each other as people before anything. I knew Clayton had a place in my life at that point, and I knew that he respected me, and I knew that he loved me and cared for me. And I wanted to have one more conversation.
I thought it was a fake account when I first saw her reach out. And so I had to click in there. I'm like, someone's trying to already get the tea or something. They're trying to trick me, find out the ending. I clicked on that. I was like, there's no way. Because I just was scrolling through my DMs and I saw her name. I was like, there's absolutely no way this is real. And so but then clicked in, and she, said, hey, listen, like, I want to be able to talk to you whenever you're wanting to. Like, I want to give you your space, but I want to talk. And I, did not wait long to respond back to that because it was hope.
And when we got in touch, we talked until we couldn't keep our eyes open. And then pretty much every night since then, we talked about everything, like everything you can possibly imagine. And it took weeks of talking on the phone and FaceTiming and just getting to know each other even more than we did when we were back on the show. And yeah, I had to get to the bottom of who Clayton is as a person. And I did. I wanted answers for why he treated me the way he did on the initial day of our breakup, because I never saw that conversation going that way. And I was like, and if this is, how I'm gonna be treated when we have an argument, then I don't care to be in a relationship like that. And we have had arguments since Iceland. We have had disagreements, and I've never been treated like that. I've never been disrespected or disregarded. And I think, you know, you learn those things over time, but I wasn't willing to make that commitment in such a short period of time. But we have learned about each other and learned, yeah, how we fight, how we have arguments, and who we are as individuals. And I think I needed time and to make sure that we really, truly were compatible.
She had just alluded to it. There was a period where she took a step back, and I never did. I was still just very much in love, like that, to the point where I was before. And so that took a little bit for us to get adjusted to. Is I was like, well, do I need to pull back because we're not in the same spot or same place? But we started having those conversations, and one after another. Now we're 4 months out from that point. Mm-hmm. So 4 months we've had to have these discussions, and we know each other better than we ever have. So that was another thing too, is I was telling her that I loved her, and I said, you don't have to just tell me when you're ready to say it. But like, I'm gonna tell you because I never fell out of love with you, so I'll never, like, I will say I love you, but just say it when you feel right. And she actually slipped up on the phone for the first time. She was waiting to tell me in person, and she said it on the phone.
I did.
I didn't call her out at that moment, but she said it, and I was just beaming on the other line. I was like, there it is, there it is. And so obviously now that was months ago, and we've.
Yeah. No, we definitely, we love each other a lot, and we are in love.
I think obviously we want to do so many things together now, and that's what's so exciting, is a lot of our aspirations line up going forward in life. And so who knows? I mean, I think we are starting to plan the future and starting to see what exactly we could do, and there's so much, which is both exciting, nerve-wracking. It's all of those things, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what could be next? I think for me, I'm just keeping an open mind about it all, because it's been fun to kind of break out of the whole structured atmosphere that I was in prior to all this.
Yeah, we really haven't even set a timeline for ourselves. I think, like I said, we're just having fun right now, just enjoying getting to know each other even more. And yeah, we're just enjoying this time for ourselves. And we do have future plans. We just haven't talked about an engagement or like a wedding or anything like that. But Clayton's coming to Virginia.
Yeah, so I think we realize that what's most important is that we take this now at our own pace and moving in with each other right away. That's the one thing, stepping away from my job, is now I have no roots, so I can plant them wherever I need to. And I think what's so important is for us to live together and start to live that life alongside each other. And so that's second, I mean, we're going straight back here in a few days back to Virginia, and then we'll go back to Phoenix or Scottsdale at one point to grab the rest of my stuff. We're gonna take a road trip across the country. Yeah. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're still planning that out as far as the places we're gonna hit, but we're basically going all the way across country so we can hit wherever we want. And that's just for us what we're excited about, is we're looking near future and just say like, hey, like, let's enjoy this. And then, yeah, I mean, of course, the ultimate goal would be to get engaged and married, but we don't feel pressure as far as when that's gonna happen. We just, whenever it feels right.